Good afternoon, gentlemen. My name is Peter Wilborn, and I serve as I am a junior political science major from Atlanta, Georgia, and I serve as the Society Events Chair of the 2018 E-Board of Sigma Alpha Pi, National Society of Leadership and Success. I would like to take a minute to introduce audience members that are not part of the Society to the essential concepts and core of this organization. We hope that by learning about these core ideals that you will add an even greater sense of pride and ownership to our members. Please follow along as I point out these essential concepts in our shield. Our Greek letters are Sigma, Alpha, Pi. Pi is a never-ending number. Success comes from never-ending purposeful action. SAP, Sigma represents success, Alpha represents action, and P represents purpose. No one person achieves success alone, and the two stars on the crest symbolize the help of at least one other person that balances success. Each point on the star refers to a different key quality of a successful leader: integrity, positive attitude, compassion, purpose, and motivation. The phoenix represents rising from the ashes of adversity to achieve success. The knight represents leading with integrity, truth, and honor. The 6 bars represent the 6 steps of leadership to achieving the quality of life we desire: clarifying your purpose, creating a shared vision, challenging the status quo, inspiring positive action, empowering others, and seeking constant improvement. These symbols represent the very heart and core of what our society chapter stands for. We are leaders, as John Maxwell says, who know the way, go the way, and show the way. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Kimlin Teague, a senior kinesiology major from Cleveland, Ohio, and I serve as your Success Networking Team Coordinator. I would like to introduce the sponsor of our reception to follow the ceremony, Mr. Rodney Bullard. Rodney Bullard leads Chick-Fil-A's community engagement and philanthropic strategy as Vice President of Community Affairs and Executive Director of the Chick-Fil-A Foundation. Before joining Chick-Fil-A, Rodney served as the Assistant United States Attorney prosecuting complex criminal cases. For his service, the United States Attorney General presented him with the Department of Justice Director's Award. Prior to this role, Rodney was selected as a White House Fellow, the nation's prestigious public service fellowship. As a White House Fellow, Rodney was placed at NASA working directly for the NASA administrator. Rodney also previously served as the Pentagon as a congressional legislative liaison in the Office of the Secretary of the Air Force. Rodney is an alumnus of the Air Force Academy, Duke Law, the University of Georgia, and Harvard Business School. He will speak a little bit about his new book, Heroes Wanted, and why the world needs you to live your heart out, and introduce our keynote speaker for this evening. Please give a warm welcome for Mr. Rodney D. Bullard.
Good evening. I tell folks that I'm the smallest male in my family. My father, who class of '65 at Morehouse, played for the Denver Broncos. He's bigger than me. My brother's bigger than me. And my father, Baptist minister. My father believed in 2 things. He believed in call and response, but he also believed in laying of hands. There you go, both biblical and otherwise. And so we're going to try the call and response again. Good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you all. It is truly a pleasure to be here. I'm honored every time I get a chance to come to Morehouse College. I'm particularly honored to see this group of esteemed young men who are leading and who are finding ways to serve our community in new heights. And so I'm truly pleasured to be here, and it's an honor. I did not go to Morehouse College. I looked at Morehouse 3 different times. But I tell you, I grew up here in Atlanta, Georgia, South DeKalb Mall, if you all are familiar with it, off of Candler Road, Flat Shows, if you're really familiar with it. And my mother is protective. And I figured that I-20 was a little bit too close for her to come here and that she might be sitting with me in class if I went to Morehouse. And so I didn't attend Morehouse College, but I've always held Morehouse in high esteem. And I've always appreciated leadership. Leadership is essential for me. In fact, my appreciation for leadership started when my father put me on the phone with Dr. Benjamin Elijah Mays. I was about 6 years old. And you all should know, if you don't know, that Dr. Mays was one of the legendary presidents of Morehouse College. Dr. Mays was at the end of his life, and I was obviously at 6 at the beginning of mine. And I don't remember the conversation that well, but I do remember that Dr. Mays told me, he said, son, I want you to get as much education as you can. And I want you to get as many experiences as you can. And when you get that education and you get those experiences, I want you to understand that that was not for you. That it was not for you that you got those degrees. It was not for you that you had those experiences, but it was so that you could come back to your community and give back. And so because of that, I have always been in search of leadership, because he gave me something that made me think about giving back to my community. And so I've been in search of, what does leadership actually look like? What is leadership really about? What's the definition of leadership? I went off to the Air Force Academy in part because it was a leadership institution. The first day I get there, they yell at me. And I realized that that probably wasn't leadership. I then left the Air Force Academy and had learned about generals, had learned about admirals, had learned about presidents, had learned about all sorts of leaders. And that was in addition to my knowledge from Atlanta, where I learned about Dr. King and Reverend Abernathy and all the leaders here. And when I got into the Air Force, I heard about a program called the White House Fellowship. Now, the White House Fellowship is a program that many of you all probably have not heard of, but you've heard of White House Fellows. You've heard of Colin Powell. You've heard of Sanjay Gupta. You've heard of Doris Kearns Goodwin. You've heard of the list that goes on and on. And so I wanted to apply for this program. And I recall that when it was time to apply, I told my boss at the time, I said, ma'am, I'm going to apply to be a White House Fellow. And she said, well, Rodney, you know that program's for superstars. And taken aback, I said, well, ma'am, that's why I'm applying. And I realized, as you probably realize as well, sometimes people will look at you, and whether it be because of the color of your skin, your size, where you're from, whatever preconceived notion they have about you, they will think you can't do as much as you actually can do. Don't ever co-sign on that. Don't ever let someone else diminish you or keep you from being the leader that you can be. And so I applied for the White House Fellowship, and I was blessed to be picked up for a White House Fellowship. And so I was going off to D.C., and I was going to learn about leadership at its highest levels. And I got to Washington, D.C., and at this time I'm married, and I turn on the television. And the announcer says that Rosa Parks had passed away. And I love Rosa Parks. I love the story of Rosa Parks. I love the notion of Rosa Parks. And the announcer said, furthermore, that Rosa Parks was going to be lying in state in the rotunda of the Capitol. Now, this is an honor reserved for our highest American heroes. There's only been one woman to lie in state in the rotunda of the Capitol, and that's Rosa Parks. There've only been 2 African Americans to lie in state in the rotunda of the Capitol. One was Rosa Parks, the other was Dr. Martin Luther King. And so I told my wife, I said, baby, we have to go see Rosa Parks. So we went off with a few thousand of our closest friends, and we marched to go see Rosa Parks. And I recall it was a long walk. And as I was walking, I was getting to know some of the other people who were walking with us. And at some point, a gentleman turned to me and he said, do you know Rosa Parks? And I said, well, I know of her. That's why I'm here. He said, no, do you know her? And I said, well, I didn't know her personally, but I think you're talking about something different. Tell me what you mean. And he said, well, Rosa Parks, on December 1st, 1955, was a seamstress. She didn't have a college education. She was from Selma, Alabama, and she had moved to Montgomery, Alabama to find work. She was working in the department stores where on most days she either couldn't afford it or she couldn't shop. And on every day, she would go back and forth on the same bus. Same bus driver, James F. Blake, would drive her to and from work. She would get on this bus, and she would sit on the 5th row back. And on this day, she was going home. It was about 6 p.m., same time as it is here, but it was raining. And on this day, Rosa Parks thought to herself, I'm going to be asked to get up out of my seat. She sat back on the 5th row. She sat on the right-hand side, and she sat right next to the window, and she nuzzled in. And she thought, more people are going to get on this bus today than they typically do. And so at some point, I'm going to be asked to get up. And sure enough, African Americans came and they sat next to her and they sat behind her, but at some point white people were standing. And James Blake put his foot on the brake and he stopped the bus. And he said, y'all gotta go. And everybody else got up and went to the back of the bus. Rosa Parks stayed right where she was. James Blake looked at her and said, no, you gotta go too. And Rosa Parks said, I'm not going. And he said, well, I'm going to call the authorities if you don't go. And she said, well, you had to do what you got to do. Rosa Parks was arrested, as you know. And because of Rosa Parks' arrest, a boycott ensued that crippled the Montgomery bus system. A young preacher who had graduated from Morehouse College from Atlanta, Georgia, was about 26, 27 years old, was recruited to lead the movement. He might not have known any better. But because of Rosa Parks' actions, things changed. Things were put into action. And I think about leadership. I think that Rosa Parks was 5 feet tall, that she didn't have a college education, and she was in Montgomery, Alabama in 1955 when everything was stacked against her. And in closing, it makes me think about a story of a friend of mine here in Atlanta. Dr. Gregory Ellison is a professor over at the Emory School of Theology. And I think about Greg because Greg told me a story about his Aunt Dot. He said when he was young, his Aunt Dot had a PhD and he looked up to her and he loved his Aunt Dot. He said at some point he would ask Aunt Dot different questions. And he said one day he asked Aunt Dot, I have a big question for you. And Aunt Dot said, well, just ask it, Greg. And he said, no, it's a big question. And he said, just ask it, Greg. So Greg asked the question. Greg said, how do you change the world? How do you change the world, Aunt Dot? And Aunt Dot said, I don't know how you change the world. I'll be honest with you. But I do know you can impact the 3 feet around you. And when I think about the 3 feet around each and every one of us, how are we using our 3 feet? How are we leading? How are we impacting people? Are we walking past others who are different? Are we ridiculing others? Are we uplifting others? Are we connecting with others? How are we using our 3 feet on a daily basis as a choice? Think about Rosa Parks. She used her 3 feet in the only way she could. She didn't have power, she didn't have voice, but she did have the ability to remain seating. Rosa Parks would later say that people think I stayed seated because I was tired. She said I was 42 years old. And I know for you gentlemen, 42 seems old, but when you're 42, I promise you, you won't feel old. She said I wasn't old, nor was I tired. She said I was tired of giving in to a system that I knew was wrong, that I knew wasn't right. At the end of the day, we all have an obligation to use our 3 feet. I wrote a book called Heroes Wanted. Heroes Wanted talks about heroes, but at its core, it's really a leadership book. I didn't want to call it Leaders Wanted because that sounded trite. So I called it Heroes Wanted. But at the end of the day, we're called to be someone else's hero. Now, we all have the ability, we all even more so have the responsibility to use our 3 feet in a way that changes someone else's life, that impacts someone else. As you're inducted into the National Society of Leadership and Success, I charge you to think about your 3 feet. I charge you to think about how you want to lead. I charge you to think about your walk, your talk. I charge you to think about your choices. At the end of the day, we can change the world, truly. Just like little Greg asked, if each and every one of us chooses to use our 3 feet to do so. Because connected, we are so much more powerful. I commend you. I congratulate you. God bless.
How's everybody doing this afternoon? So I have the honor of introducing our featured speaker this afternoon. But before I introduce Cassius, I want to first and foremost congratulate you for choosing the journey of leadership, for after this session becoming a member of the National Society of Leadership and Success. It's almost surreal for me to be behind this podium and look at all of you in light of me sitting in some of those seats that you're sitting in during Crown Forum, and other times where I had an opportunity to listen to people who had given themselves to the charge of leadership. And one of the things that we learned here at Morehouse, and you will learn, and I'm sure you've learned as you've matriculated through this, is that Morehouse men are leaders among leaders. That other people may have a responsibility of leadership, but as Morehouse men, you have a greater calling upon your life to lead in a way that is not only through your words, but also through your actions. And if you are committed to being that leader among leaders, you have to be willing to love. In order to lead the people, you have to be willing to love the people. And if you're willing to love the people, then you also have to be willing to speak the truth to the people. Now, one of the reasons why Cassius asked me to introduce him is not just because he's my friend, but because I, every day, through the work of an organization that I lead in Atlanta called the Partnership for Southern Equity, I try to translate my love for the people through speaking truth to power. The role of the Partnership for Southern Equity is to ensure through working with various partners that the weakest among us have an opportunity to benefit from the changes that are happening in our city, in our region, in our state, and in the southern region. Issues around housing affordability. You may not realize it, but when you graduate, you'll understand the challenges that we're facing around housing affordability in this city, or issues around transportation, or other key issues around ensuring that low-wealth communities and communities of color are looked at as an asset to this community and not a liability, is a part of the work of the Partnership for Southern Equity. But with that being said, when you are speaking the truth to the people that you love, sometimes they're not ready to receive that truth. And that is what real leadership is about. It's about being willing to speak the truth even when your voice is shaking. I want to just give you one quick story, and then I will definitely have the honor of speaking and really lifting up Cassius. But I'll give you one personal life example of how leadership has to also be connected to courage. I had an opportunity to sit on a pretty prestigious board in the city of Atlanta of a large-scale development project in Atlanta called the Atlanta Beltline. How many people in this room are familiar with the Atlanta Beltline? So we're talking about a multi-million or even $2 billion project that was supported through tax dollars that have fundamentally shifted the way the city of Atlanta has grown. Unfortunately, one of the major challenges with the Beltline is that the leadership at the time did not understand how the progress of the Beltline was beginning to push out people in the city of Atlanta that looked just like you. And so I had to make a personal decision as a member of the Beltline board to either go along to get along or to speak the truth to injustice. and I and a colleague of mine who actually created the Beltline decided to resign from the board. And we wrote a letter to say that the Beltline should be for everyone and that we have to be more sensitive to the needs of all people in this city. Once that letter was out, you would have been amazed at how many people would not return our phone calls because they were concerned about the politics of speaking the truth. We got 1 or 2 calls, but most people were not willing to stand up for what was right. But as a result of that, it began with a murmur, but eventually it became a roaring voice of the community that the Beltline needed to be more sensitive to the issues of affordability. The roar got so loud that the person that actually led the Beltline was forced to resign. And we were still here, fighting for the people, regardless of what our decision would do to our respectability or to our reputation. I had made the personal decision that I had had enough chicken dinners. It wasn't important for me anymore to be invited to the upper class luncheons or dinners or be invited at the table of the so-called influential. Those are decisions that you're going to have to make. But at the end of the day, again, as Morehouse men and as leaders among leaders, you have to be willing to love, and even more important, if you love, you have to be willing to speak the truth. So with that said, let me introduce a leader among leaders so you'll have an opportunity to hear a great talk today from Mr. Cassius Butts, who is also a graduate of Morehouse College. And he is a great friend and servant of the people. He has over 20 years of executive experience in both the private and public sectors. He brings a great array of experiences working for banks and 2 presidential administrations, and he's also the co-founder of the Capital Fortitude Business Advisors, a boutique management consulting firm located in Atlanta, Georgia, but its reach is far beyond Atlanta with satellite relationships in Orlando and Washington, D.C. He's also now currently, and he accepted in 2016, the prestigious role as an executive in residence at the J. Mac Robinson College of Business at Georgia State University, which is a big deal. And he focuses on entrepreneurship and innovation initiatives, and it is a non-academic role, but with that being said, he helps, though, to develop public and private sector relationships with various business entities, private entities like Microsoft and FedEx, to name a few. He's also an equity partner in EQ Labs, which produces a natural energy beverage called Last Shot. Another great accomplishment for Cassius is that in 2011, he was appointed by then President Obama to serve as the regional administrator for the U.S. Small Business Association, where he managed 5 record-breaking years in SBA lending within 8 southern states. Cassius managed over $30 billion in SBA-backed loans, and those loans were awarded to small businesses, representing a 53% increase in lending during his tenure. He also served as a management fellow under George W. Bush in the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, where he also helped to lead a multi-million-dollar marketing procurement process and was named branch chief during his tenure. As I said before, Cassius has spent a lot of time at Atlanta University Center. First, of course, as a graduate of Morehouse College, and then he went to Clark Atlanta University Graduate School of Public Administration, He holds a certificate in grant writing from Emory University and a 2012 graduate of Leadership Atlanta. He also is serving currently on the transition team of our mayor in the city of Atlanta, Keisha Lance Bottoms, and he is very, very much committed to mentoring. He serves on various boards, and he's a lifetime member of the Morehouse College Alumni Association. Without further ado, I introduce to you Mr. Cassius F. Butts.
Someone left their phone. Anyone want a phone? You got a phone? I don't think we want to use that. Good afternoon, dear old Morehouse. Good afternoon. Gentlemen, this is your time. Good afternoon. I think y'all have some folks here who really are supporting you today, some people who've tried to make sure that they were on time, to make sure that you were given everything that you needed to have in order to feel good about yourself today. Some of those folks are standing, or actually sitting here with us. Gentlemen, I say let's stand and let's recognize them for being here to support you all. Thank you very much. Parents, supporters, those here to support these young men. Young men, y'all can do better than that. They paid y'all tuition. Make sure you had clothes on your back, shoes on your feet. Give it up. You know, the reality is that this Friday afternoon, this is Atlanta. Y'all know about Atlanta, you can be stuck in traffic somewhere. But we are here today to honor you. And to the 12th president of dear old Morehouse, my esteemed alma mater, our board of trustees, the National Society of Leadership and Success, to my fellow community advisory committee members who will be acknowledged in just a short period of time, we thank you. And to our very own dearest Miss Lavanya Jones. I want her to come stand up here with me. Miss Jones, come on up here right quick. Y'all have to understand that this giant right here is the reason why Morehouse College, the school of all men, has a chapter here, a national chapter here today in 2018. We thank you, Miss Jones. Again, without you, we couldn't have did this. We thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it. All right. Her dear husband, Fred, is here with us, too. He's always making sure. Let's give Fred a round of applause. Thank you for putting up with us. We appreciate it, Fred. You know, I learned a long time ago that you say thanks up front. That way you don't forget folks in the end. And sometimes, you know, people forget about us, so sometimes we got to say thank you when we have the opportunity to do so. You are sitting in hallowed grounds. You are sitting in hallowed grounds, literally the same seat that you are sitting in right now. My old roommate and I, Victor Washington, we sat in just something 25 years ago. Class of '94. Joe, it just seemed like it was the other day, man. You know, you are sitting in hallowed grounds, and, you know, it's interesting when you can talk about sitting in a place and talk about positive news when there's so much challenges going on in our society today, because these are troubled times in our nation right now. These are times when we hope that we can get more coverage about positive news, but these are times when we see a whole bunch of cloudiness, a bunch of tension, a bunch of uncertainty, and negative connotations, particularly on our youth or our aspiring young men. We are living in troubled times in which we seldom hear positive examples of what character, integrity, and what true positive action should look like. My former mentee and three-time mayor of this great city, graduate of Morehouse College, Maynard H. Jackson, would often say to me, and he would remind me that positive outcomes comes in difficult situations. These times remind me of the book of Romans in the 5th chapter, and it says, not only that we will also rejoice in affliction, because we know that affliction produces endurance. Endurance produces character. And proven character produces hope. There are many people who inspired us over the years. I know you have your picks. I have mine. Some of them come in all shapes and sizes, different genres. Mine happen to come from a young artist named Tupac Shakur. Some along the way, and I lost my faith in religion. You hadn't figured out by now, and I was going to law school and seminary school before I left Morehouse and decided to focus on graduate school. And I lost my way. But this young rapper would often say that, I know that today seems hard, but remember one thing, through every dark night, that tomorrow there's a bright day ahead of that. So keep your head up and handle it. You know about that, don't you? Yes, sir. I think nowadays is what Kendrick Lamar and Kanye, that's what y'all listen to nowadays, is it? No more Kanye, right? Okay, okay. Kendrick Lamar, okay. You know, we sit back and we hear these names. We think about how it resonated when we were sitting here, Ralph. And I believe that today is an example of that bright day that Tupac once talked about. Morehouse is inducting over 160 strong young men. And watch this. These dark nights are going to make the world see just how bright the sun can be. You see, I see the dream that the dreamer had, and the dream that the dreamer talked about. Many folks outside these hollow walls may not know about the dreamer as we know him, but I would be remiss if I did not acknowledge one of Morehouse's most beloved sons. And that is none other than the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. himself. This being 50 years since God Almighty called him home to join his heavenly army in heaven. Let's take this moment and pause and recognize our beloved Morehouse brother, Dr. King. You can do better than that, Morehouse. You can do better than that, Morehouse. 50 years since he's been called home. You can do better than that, Morehouse. If he was standing here right now and see you sitting, he would think you would stand for a champion of justice. You can do better than that, Morehouse. Let's recognize Dr. King. Dr. King walking these hollow walls 50 years ago so you can sit and clap for the next folks who are going to take over this land. Young men, you are 160 champions that the dream dreamed about. 260 of you have joined this organization. 44 of you will be graduating in a few weeks. And I had to remind you, young men, that this is your time. My good friend, Rodney Bullard, my classmate at Leadership Atlanta 2012, talked about one of the greatest of the greatest. Dr. Benjamin Elijah Mays, a premier natural leader, considered one of the greatest orators and teachers of the gospel, the sixth president of Morehouse College. He once said that every man and every woman born into the world is set to do something unique, something distinctive. And if he or she does not do it, it will never be done. I addressed a class early this week during their practice run, and I sat back with a proud sense of humility and was recognized and re-energized to know that the world is about to receive and to acknowledge something that they've never seen before. The best educated, the best qualified, the best prepared, the best mannered, and the best example of what Dr. Mays talked about, best preparing to do something unique and distinctive. Gentlemen, this is your time. I promised Ms. Jones I wouldn't be too long, but I want these young men to picture where my good friends Rodney and Victor, where we sat 20-something years ago. Ralph, your son being inducted tonight, I know you're a proud father. Picture yourself in the future. Some of you will be doctors, perhaps finding the cure to cancer. Some of you will be politicians, helping to shape the policy to make this world an even playing field. Some of you will be entrepreneurs, creating a product that will one day balance and give us more options to make better decisions. Some of you will be activists. Some of you will be, Dr. Yancey, educators. And yes, some of you will graciously be the example of what your mother, your father, your brother, your sister, your loved one, your aunt, your grandmother, your grandfather have prayed about on many of nights. That positive beacon of light that will light up the world. My brothers, this is your time. And if you don't take anything else from this moment today, if you don't take anything else from the time that you walked into these hallowed walls just a couple years ago, just know that you are somebody. You are somebody that the world is waiting for. You are that shining light that the world is waiting to see. And I believe that you have a couple of best friends, two best friends, I may add. The two best friends that I actually have with me, called grace and mercy. You are the one and you are the thought that God had in his mind when he created his children. You see, two former Negro slaves came together some years ago and married. They had a child. That child went on to acquire some pretty great things in his life. His name was Dr. Benjamin E. Mays. Without no Benjamin E. Mays, there is no Martin Luther King Jr. Without no Martin Luther King Jr., there is no Shirley Chisholm. Without no Shirley Chisholm, there is no Maynard Jackson. Without no Maynard Jackson, there is no Ambassador Andrew Young. Without no Ambassador Andrew Young, there is no President Barack Obama. Without no President Barack Obama, there is no hope to re-energize and light up the world. You are expected to succeed. Period, young men. There is no other option. You are our future. To the inaugural class of the National Society of Leadership and Success, join me, young men. Stand up at this point in time and let the world know that this is your time. Stand with me and applause for yourself before anyone applauds for you. This is your time. Stand up and let the world know that you are here. You are somebody. You will make a difference. We believe in you, we support you, and we love you. Thank you, dear Morehouse.
Wow. Thank you so much, Mr. Butts. We appreciate you. I knew when I called him and asked him to be you all's keynote speaker, he's what you needed to hear. So I hope you are re-energized and charged to go forth and really be the young man that this world needs you to be. So I would like to begin our recognition festivities this evening with a few special awards. So would Marlon Cook, Malcolm Ransom, and Wyatt Foster please join me at the podium? So our Membership Outreach Chair, Malcolm Ransom, will begin with our Honorary Membership Awards. Then we will have Marlon Cook, our Treasurer, who will present our Excellence in Teaching Awards. And we will have Wyatt Foster, our Community Service Chair, who will present our Excellent in Service Awards. So at this time, I will call the awardees to come up and join us on the stage as well in the following order. Can I have Dr. LeVar Smith join us on the stage, please? Dr. Ethel Vereen, Jr. Oh, there he is. Dr. Belinda J. White. Dr. Ilya Davis. Dr. J.K. Haynes. Dr. Joanna Mendenhall. Mr. Douglas Cooper, Mr. Keith Scherer, and our final awardee who could not join us this evening because he is in Dallas, Texas, working on our NFL partnership that we currently have, Dr. David Rice. And at this time, give him a hand. And at this time, our executive board will present their awards.
Good evening. I'm Malcolm Ransom, a junior accounting major from Princeton, New Jersey. The Honorary Membership Award is given to faculty, staff, or administrators who embody the mission of the National Society of Leadership and Success and demonstrate leadership in qualities in personal and professional capacity. These individuals have played an integral role in fostering opportunities for growth and development among the administration and our students. They each have made a huge impact on the Morehouse College community and touched the lives of students each day. This year's honorees are Dr. Belinda J. White, Director and Associate Professor of Management in the Division of Business Administration and Economics. Dr. LeVar Smith, Assistant Professor of Political Science. And Dr. Ethel Vereen, Jr., Assistant Professor of Biology. Please join me in applause.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Marlon Cook. I'm a junior finance major from Atlanta, Georgia, and I serve as the treasurer for the society. We would like to continue our recognition with the presentation of our Excellence in Teaching Award. This award is given to individuals who teach with passion, inspire students beyond the classroom, demonstrate dedication to developing students beyond academic qualifications, or who make a positive difference in the lives of society members. This year's honorees for the Excellence in Teaching Award are Dr. Ilya Davis, Professor of Philosophy and African American Studies. Dr. J.K. Haynes, the David Packer Professor in Science. Dr. Jawanda Mendenhall, Associate Professor of Chemistry.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Wyatt Foster. I am a senior business administration major, concentration in marketing from Columbus, Mississippi. And I am here to present the Excellence in Service Award. This award is given to professors, faculty, and staff that exemplify leadership and mentorship and also demonstrate a commitment in bettering the lives of students. Now, for this year's honorees, Mr. Keith Scherer, the audio and visual technician. Mr. Douglas Cooper, Director of Special Programs and Career Services in the Division of Business Administration and Econ. Last but not least, Mr. David Cook, Professor of Biology.
Just give us 1 second, guys. Let us take pictures. Sorry. Let's give our awardees a hand, please. Okay. So the success of this year would not be possible without our executive board. So at this time, I would like to recognize our spring 2018 executive board members for all of their contributions and accomplishments this year. It was truly been a pleasure working with all of you, and we appreciate all that you have done to serve and support the chapter this year. Please come forward when your name is read to be acknowledged. President Salim Arthur. Salem Arthur, sorry. Vice President Kareem Nicholson. Secretary Saul Ashley. Treasurer Marlon Cook. Success Networking Team Coordinator Kimlin Teague. Publicity Chair Alex Black. Fundraising Chair Malcolm Pruitt. IT Coordinator in the back there, working our PowerPoint, Jordan Scott. And our Society Events Chair, Peter Wilborn, who's actually stepped out to check on our reception. Give him a hand. Community Service Chair, Wyatt Foster. Membership Outreach Chair, Malcolm Ransom. Social Events Chair, Deontay Prince. So these wonderful men have been your 2017-2018 Executive Board. And we also have a special gift for our 3 seniors that will be leaving us this year, and we will give you your gift. We have Kimlin Teague. Malcolm Pruitt is also a senior and will be leaving us. And then we have Wyatt Foster, who will also be leaving us. So since you all will be graduating and leaving us this year, we have gotten you all medals for you to wear at your graduation for the National Society of Leadership and Success. Congratulations. Give us 1 second. We'll take a quick picture. All right, so thank you all for your patience. So today we are here to celebrate your continued leadership experience. Each student member in this room has gained personal insight and perspective as you have completed your steps to induction. You have made commitments to yourself and each other and to your communities to create positive change and leave your legacy. You sought and received motivation and resources from this year's speaker series. You have set goals and launched action steps together, empowering and supporting one another during your success networking team meetings. Upon fulfilling the basic components of the program, without question, you could say each of you in this room are even more in touch with who you are as leaders, and you are ready to pay it forward to serve within your campus and beyond. Today, it is our hope that you reflect the principles of the society, and we honor you and welcome you as an inducted member. You have made a commitment to pursue success, take action, seek and clarify your purpose. You have embraced the idea that more can be achieved when we work together. You have made a commitment to always create a shared vision, challenge the status quo, inspire positive action, empower others, and seek constant improvement. Some of you have gone above and beyond to really exemplify the leadership excellence this society stands for. I now introduce to you our publicity chair, Alex Black, who will share some of our student successes. He will be followed by Saul Ashley, who will share some of our students who have received internship offers. And he will be followed by Malcolm Pruitt, who will share some of our students who have received full-time offers upon graduation. So with Alex Black, Saul Ashley, and Malcolm Pruitt, please join me at the podium. You don't have the names? There you go.
Good evening. My name is Alex Black. I'm a sophomore psychology major from Los Angeles, California. And I would like to start by recognizing the Spring 18 inductees who have completed the school year with a 3.5 GPA or above. When I call your name, I would ask that you please stand, and audience, please hold your applause until each student has been named. So first we have Christian Campbell, a sociology major, a junior sociology major. We have Jory Collins, a senior political science major. Austin Duffin, a sophomore computer science major. Xavier Henderson, a sophomore kinesiology major. Darius Johnson, senior English major. Joshua Jones, a senior finance major. Ross Jordan, a junior kinesiology major. Keon Thomas, a sophomore accounting major. My brother Peter Wilborn, a junior political science major. And Hewitt Joseph, a sophomore chemistry major.
Good evening. My name is Saul Ashley. I'm a sophomore biomedical engineering applied physics major mathematics minor from Jacksonville, Florida. And at this time, we would like to recognize all our members who have received research opportunities, internships, among other offers. Please hold all applause until all the names are called. Thank you. We have Trent Malone, a physics major, who will be conducting research at the Alabama A&M Research Experience for Undergraduates program. Joshua Collins, he will be an ambassador for Comcast NBC Universal. Liebert Lester III, a psychology major, a psychology and communications major. DeAndre Ferguson, a psychology major who will be attending the Columbia School of Social Work. Anthony McLeod, a physics and mathematics major who will be a PhD candidate for the Georgia Tech Mechanical Engineering program. Darius Johnson, an English major who will be attending the Fordham's Law School. Nike Garnett, a business administration and management major who has an internship at the Day One record label. Austin Duffin, a computer science and mathematics major who has an internship at Dell. Charles Porch, a business administration management major. He has an internship at Federal Trio with the Upward Bound program. Xavier Henderson, a kinesiology major. He has an internship at Freedom Physical Therapy and Training Center. Kadeem Wilson, a kinesiology major and sports chiropractic major who has an internship at a chiropractic office. Calvin Sepimboa, a biology and French major who has an internship at Zimmer Biomet in Baltimore. Anthony Houston, a religion studies major who has an internship at Zion Hill Baptist Church. Keon Thomas, an accounting major who has an internship at Excel Venture Capital and Private Equity Firm. Malcolm Ransom, an accounting major who has an internship at PwC. Victor Barkley, a finance major who has an internship at Quicken Loans and mortgage banking. Joshua Jones, a finance major who has an internship at Spectrum Telecommunications. Nicholas Jenkins, a finance major who will be interning at the NYU and Columbia Social Work Program. Darius Cooper, an applied physics major who has an internship at the Outreach Program, working with middle schoolers to get them interested in research as Gates Scholars and Menir Scholars. Trayvon Truss, a psychology major who will be conducting research as a Gates Scholar and Menir Scholar. Alden Brown, a biology major who will be conducting breast cancer research at Georgia State University. Jalen Johnson, a biology major who will be conducting research at Fort Valley State University. Anthony Jackson, a biology major who will be conducting research at the Cornell University program in New York. Jordan Scott, a computer science major who will be conducting research at Temple University. Renaud Bruce, who has a summer research opportunity at the University of Dayton, and myself as a Menir Scholar, who will be conducting novel research in the Morehouse Chemistry Department. Please give a round of applause.
Hello, my name is Malcolm Pruitt. I'm a senior business administration major, concentration in management. Shout out to Dr. White. And in conclusion, we would like to recognize all graduating seniors who have received full-time offers. Start with Dominic Jackson, who is a marketing major, and he received an offer as a full-time assistant marketing manager with Newell Brands. We have Leighton Batiste, who's also a marketing major. He received full-time offer for Director of Marketing of the Southern Intercollegiate. We have Collins McLean, sociology major, and with a minor in journalism and sports, and he received a full-time offer from Georgia Pacific. Then we have Grantley G. Whitaker, who is a management major, and he received a full-time offer as a consulting analyst with Accenture. And lastly, we have myself, who received a full-time offer doing mortgage banking with Quicken Loans.
Congratulations to all our society members who have received internships and full-time offers, and those that will be going on to graduate school. Give yourselves another round of applause. And now is the moment you all have been waiting for. So hopefully you have gotten your pens out of your kits. It is time for the induction of our society members. into the Morehouse College Chapter of the National Society of Leadership and Success, Sigma Alpha Pi. So I'll give you all a second to get those pins. So every member, as part of their induction into the ceremony, received their certificate, of course, a society pin, as well as a T-shirt and a car decal in their kits. So that is something that is provided by the national chapter as part of their process to induction. Everybody has their pin? No? Okay. All right. Would our spring 2018 inductees please stand? So as you all heard, we have 160 inductees. So due to the amount of students being inducted tonight, we will not be able to say everyone's name. But they are listed in the program, and if you didn't get a program, we'll make sure you get one. So inductees, you have begun to live the mission and values upon which the society was founded and have taken an active role in becoming successful leaders on campus and in our community. If you are willing to strive for academic excellence, participate in community service, grow personally and professionally, and continue to live the mission of the society in everyday life, please respond, I am. I am. Society members at this time, please pin your pin on your jacket. Feel free to help your neighbor if you need to. Congratulations to all of our inducted members for our spring 2018 inaugural class. Woo! You all may be seated. Now, another moment that some of you have been waiting for. It is my privilege, and this is a surprise for them, to introduce our new incoming executive board for fall 2018. Each of these students has interviewed for their respective position and were selected based on their qualifications, commitment, and leadership skills. These students have such a passion and drive to succeed, as well as to help others succeed. At this time, I would like to officially swear in these students into their roles. Executive Board, please stand when I call your name and position. Y'all ready? Drum roll. So because of the amount of students we have chosen 2 Success Networking Team Coordinators for the fall 2018 spring 2019 school year. But first, I would like to announce our new fundraising chair, Mr. Benjamin Phillips. Stay standing. Our new IT coordinator, Kevin Collier. Our new community service chair, Mr. Jalen Johnson. And last but certainly not least, our Success Networking Team Coordinator, 1, Mr. Hewitt Joseph. And Our Success Networking Team Coordinator 2, Mr. Ralph Cook. So, Executive Board, please repeat after me. I swear to uphold the values and mission of the National Society of Leadership and Success, building leaders who make a better world, supporting others in achieving their dreams, supporting others in their personal leadership development, and bettering the community and our college. I will assist my fellow officers in any way I can, while honoring the responsibilities of my office. I pledge to guide the leaders of today and tomorrow to success with honor and integrity. Congratulations to our Fall 2018, Spring 2019 Executive Board members. You may be seated. At this time, to conclude our program, I would like to call up our Vice President, Karim Nicholson.
Good afternoon. My name is Karim Nicholson from Houston, Texas, junior chemistry major. This evening, we would like to acknowledge and thank our Community Advisory Council. This council will serve volunteer basis to provide members access to exclusive leadership development opportunities and provide their insight on our future development here at Morehouse College. Please stand when I call your name. Remain standing when all members are called. 1994 alum, Cassius F. Butts, Chairman of Capital Fortune Business. Council, when I call your name, can you please come on the stage? Thank you. 1994, Cassius F. Butts, Chairman of Capital Fortune Business. 1964 alum, Robert Yancey, Professor at Kennesaw State University. Doctor. (1993) alum, Victor Washington, IT professional at ELIC. 1999 alum, Ralph Cook Jr., management partner of Handprint Group. 1999 alum, Jason Edwards, founder of PRI Assessment Management. 1996 alum, Nathan Q. Smith, founder and CEO of the Partnership of Southern Equity. Bart Phillips, founder and executive producer at Sunseeker Media. Natasha Foreman, CEO at the Foreman and Associates, LLC. Rick Mathis, executive producer and author of the film Black Friday series. Garika Richardson, CEO of Hackout.Ninja. Excuse me, Jericho. Eldred Washington, COO of Spiffy. Rico Miller, CEO of Resilient Insurance Agency, Incorporated. Onika Cornelius, Senior Director in Change Management at Cox Automotive. M. Cole Jones, manager partner at Roz. Community advisor, thank you for your service, commitment.
Sorry, we missed one, sorry. Mr. Joseph Handy. He is the COO of the Georgia Aquarium. Do we have him on your list? Oh, you skipped.
President, too.
President and COO of the Georgia Aquarium.
Community Advisor Council, thank you for your service and commitment at Morehouse College. To our National Society of Leadership and Success, Sigma Alpha Pi, we would like to extend our thank you to Rodney Bullard and Chick-Fil-A Foundation for sponsoring our reception this evening that will take place in the Welcome Center. We will close out with the Morehouse hymn, Dear Morehouse, led by our Social Events Chair, by Deontay Price. Yeah, we can sing Dear Morehouse, then we can take a picture.
They're about to take a picture, so y'all could just hold on a sec.
Good afternoon, my brothers. Join me as I lead you in the Morehouse College hymn.